You can't clap better than that?
Now with a microphone in my
We can start that way. That's fine. That's the tone that you would like to set right off the beginning. We're joined for the first time. Both of you guys never been on the show before. Steve Stricker, Jerry Kelly, a couple Wisconsin guys. We're here in Tucson, Arizona, the Colgard Classic. You guys know each other for a long time, right?
Yeah, a long time. Yeah. Back to junior golf days in Wisconsin.
Is it weird sometimes to look and be like, man, it's been that long and we're still out here doing this?
Yeah, no doubt.
For
I
sure.
mean, he had hair back then.
Well, you can't be taking shots
that
here,
looks
right?
good,
He's
yeah.
got better hair than I do. Bunch of bullshit.
It's crazy that we both have done this as long as we have. I mean, we had to be 12 at least, maybe even, the junior golf days in Wisconsin, they had the kids playing early in a bunch of tournaments. So it's crazy that we both got out here.
What is it like in Wisconsin as a kid playing golf? Because the season's short, and you're as a golfer, you're a nut. You're always hungry to play. Was it tough? I mean, Steve, you're kind of famous for hitting balls in Wisconsin in the winter and all that. But was it tough, or you just switch sports?
Well, I play basketball, so that was my winter sport. And then, but as soon as, and you can probably attest to this too, where as soon as you had any amount of green grass or brown grass, if it showed, you went up there and hit balls off of it, even if it was frozen a little bit. But as soon as the snow left the ground, you were trying to hit golf balls out into the snow, go find them, go pick them up, and do it again. So, but I think that was an advantage for us. You looking back, and I think that's why we've had these long careers. Is we're still pretty fresh, I mean, I shouldn't say we're fresh.
I respect that's confident in you. Yeah, we're fresh.
We're way past fresh, but we're still hungry to do it because we still get away from it. We still have that winter time where we want to get away from it. At least I do. And then we're hungry to come back when the weather gets good and play.
I'm going to add to that because it's a huge thing, and some of the kids got to know this, that sometimes I improved more when I was thinking about it over the winter than when I was doing it over the summer. Your brain can play a huge role in it. I was always playing hockey during the winter. I played on the soccer team as well. So, I mean, I love
ran and kicked the ball.
I did run. And let me tell you, when it was 30 degrees and we were playing soccer, I did not want to take the shot of, those penalty shots were not fun.
Well, it's interesting because as, we represent, right, the average kind of weekend golfer, and it's a wide spectrum of talents, and it's a wide spectrum anytime you go out, anything could happen. And it's a known thing that a lot of times that first round after the winter break, or your first round without playing 2 or 3 months, you hit it great. Yeah. And you're going, what the hell? Like, holy shit, how did this happen? Like, I thought I wouldn't be able to hit the ball and play, and I'm hitting it better. And then 2 or 3 weeks you get into the golf season, you start thinking, and it turns into a nightmare. So I think to a lot of people that makes sense, that just thinking about your game all winter, all of a sudden you might get a little better doing that.
If we could, even us, if we could play with pictures instead of pieces and ideas and just, positions, just take a picture of a fluid swing. Now, wasn't that Geiberger with Cybervision or something like that? Yeah, it works.
It's incredible how that works and how kind of the mind works with golf. And it's always fascinating to me, again, to hear from professionals, guys who've been doing it a long time, that you go through the same stuff. It's just on a different level.
Yeah. The only problem is Cybervision. I've watched you putt for a long time, and it still doesn't work for me. So. Other than that, it's good.
Why do you, I was going to ask about, I feel like every year or so there comes out another story. Like, oh, this guy got a putting lesson from Steve Stricker on the green. Like, what? You're just out there chit-chatty? Like, how come this is always happening?
I don't know. I've had a lot of guys ask me over the years to help them out, take a look here and there.
You don't know?
Well, I mean, I guess they like what they see. I make some putts here and there. But it's flattering, really. And I'm all for helping. I've helped this guy. He's helped me. And that's kind of the nature of our sport too. And the cool thing about our sport is that even though we're competing against each other, we can take a look at each other. We've played a lot of golf with each other, and you can kind of help the other guy out from time to time.
Can you immediately diagnose putting issues?
I'm very basic. I mean, I don't have a lot of deep theories. and that's kind of the type of person I am too. I'm pretty basic and plain. And it's the same thing with my putting. It's pretty simple. I look at the setup a little bit, look at the blade position, maybe hand position, and the path of which the club is going back on. And you can pretty much help a guy out just in those basic little things.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me the kind of go back what you guys were touching on earlier of the camaraderie in golf, because I imagine not everyone is always willing to share because you're competing against one another. I mean, are there known people out there that would hide their secrets or keep the cards closer to the chest?
I mean, the guys are out there, but you can still break through, but you have to be willing to come to them and possibly bug them more than once or twice in the best way you know how, that you can break down those barriers. Somebody's just not going to offer up something that they do great to you.
Right. Poke and prod a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, the young guys have to be willing to come out and actually be strong enough to ask for help. And that's sometimes hard.
Yeah, and the best players in the world. I've played with Jack. You've played with Jack. We've both played with Tiger. I played around with Jack Nicklaus at Doral one year, and I'm hitting it sideways off the tee. And here's the best player, potentially that has ever played the game, right? And he's like, hey, I'll meet you on the range when we're done. We're signing our scorecards. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I want to help you. So, I mean, he just offered that up straight away, and we go over, and I slapped it around in front of him on the range for a little while.
That's incredible. Were you like, I mean, I guess you guys have been together all day, and you knew him. You're like nervous to go over the range? You're like, man, he's really going to look at my action right now.
Well, and he'd been watching me hitting it sideways all day, so he probably was tired of seeing me hit it sideways. But that's the type, just to point out that that's the type of guys that we're dealing with. And here's the best player that ever played the game, willing to give up his time to go help you. And it was a Friday. I had made the cut barely, and he had missed the cut, and he was willing to, take that extra bit of time to help me out.
So now, that camaraderie to me is something that a lot of players that come out to the PGA Tour Champions talk about, and how fun it is and how enjoyable it is. You've both been very successful. Jared, I believe 7 wins. Steve, I believe 5 wins out here. How, I guess how different is it out here in terms of that vibe than maybe on the PGA Tour?
I think we grew up in a little bit of a different time. There were a few guys who kept it close to their vest, but I think in general, a lot of us traveled together, even sharing rooms back in the mini tours together. It was like a traveling circus, the way we went around. It wasn't as much of a business, and you're off in this private jet, and you're off in that private jet. I mean, we were bussing it together and getting places, and it might have brought us a little bit closer, and we're able to kind of revisit that now in this one where it became that business.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, we can actually reward ourselves for what we did and enjoy golf again. Not that the struggle and the strife is not enjoyable, but this is really fun out here.
Right.
Even though it's pretty intense competition. I mean, the guys are playing great right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of good play out there. We're at the Cologuard Classic, and I didn't necessarily know a ton about it, and coming to this, I'm looking at what they've done. I could try to explain it to people, but you both are significantly more connected to it and have a deeper history with it. So could you guys speak to sort of this event, Cologuard, and what they do?
Yeah, I'll take the first lead on that one. This is basically Kevin Conroy, CEO of Exact Sciences. We just got together one day. He was actually going to a funeral of a relative from this disease. And I was like, this is crazy. I mean, this is one of your relatives. How do they not know and get tested and all this? And I'm like, we got to get the word out. And we just started a partnership, and then next thing you know, it turns into a golf tournament. And I just met this morning the first time Scott, who emailed and said, I went to the tournament last year. I had no clue what Cologuard was. I went to my doctor. He brought up Cologuard. You should probably do that. Next thing you know, he has a positive test. Coming to the Cologuard tournament, getting screened, that screening, early screening, helped save his life, and that is a fact. And it gives me the chills up and down my back, but that is bringing home what this tournament is. It's not as much of a golf tournament. It's a vehicle to really get the word out. And the guys have just hopped on board incredibly and have got behind this, and the stories from the survivors that come out, I mean, the interaction with the guys has just been fantastic.
It's amazing. And that story, I'd heard that story earlier, and it's funny because, I go to different tournaments, we all do, and they ask you to promote a product, but it's like, this is just really promoting awareness and a good cause that can save lives, and that story is such an unbelievable example of that. From someone that just came last year, and so I guess it's if you're 45 plus, Cologuard is very simple. It's not invasive, and you should get screened because the chances of survival and of having a way better outcome increase dramatically the earlier that it's detected. And again, for someone like me, I didn't know anything about it either. I had no clue.
Yeah, it's this is the awareness that we need. The more you actually get the word out and people start talking to family members, they start talking to friends, just about everybody has been touched in some way, positively or negatively, by this disease. So ask questions, ask your family, ask your parents, ask your grandparents. You should know that family history to know that if you need to dive in earlier to be screened, if you've got a family history and some things going on. So it is no time to wait. A great friend of mine last year, Robbie Andringa, we had him in the Pro-Am last year in March. He was diagnosed at 48 years old with stage 4 colon cancer, waiting for that 50-year-old limit. Yeah. that they had before. Now they have since changed that to 45. We lost him in May after that March Pro-Am, 3 years after battling from 48. This disease, if 45 would have been the age, he might be here right now. So we just don't want that to happen to you, your family members, our friends, anybody out there. So many people have supported us over the years. It's just one of those ways that we're able to give back, and Cologuard is a heck of a way to give back.
Well, it's an amazing vehicle. The awareness is incredibly important. So you guys are doing an awesome job, and I'm excited to watch this weekend. It's going to be very fun. Steve, let's turn to the Ryder Cup. Obviously, it's been a crazy couple of years. You've been extremely involved in the Ryder Cup for a long time now. How are you as the leader? Where are you at? Where's your headspace? How focused are you on it? And how's everything kind of been to handle over the last couple of years?
Yeah, once the PGA of America canceled it last June, it went off my radar, really. I stopped thinking about it. There wasn't really much to do. We had everything kind of done up to that point and ready to go. And now, again, the last couple of weeks I've been on phone calls trying to pick up where we left off last June. And fortunately, we've done most of the work. We're prepared up to this point, and now from this point forward to the end of August, when the points stop, basically all I have to do is kind of watch these guys and watch them play and see who's playing well, and take care of other little things that pop up here and there. But it's been a long process. Lost more hair, I think, in the process of it all. But it's been interesting. I'm ready to get it done and over with. I'm ready to win that thing and bring the cup back home. I know that.
It's always a big storyline when so and so who's on the bubble or potential played with the Ryder Cup captain. Do you ever just mess with guys? Do you ever walk by somebody on the range, they hit a shitty shot, and you're just like, and try to rattle them a little bit?
I don't But there's guys that will do that for me as I walk by. Jerry would be one of those guys too.
Yeah.
But I played with Brooks Koepka a couple weeks ago, Xander a few weeks ago. So it's been good. I've been out there playing with them and seeing how they're playing and trying to compete with them as well. So it's been good.
So I gotta say, I texted Kevin Kisner, and I said, hey, I'm sitting down with Steve, and you got anything you think I should ask him? He said, yeah, ask him about the putt I made on the last hole at Colonial, and then looked at him and said, do you like good putters on your team?
I've always told Kiz that he will never be a pick. He's going to have to earn his way by points only. He'll never be a pick.
Good. He does. Yeah. Nobody needs his ego up there. It's. I don't know if that's good for the team, bad for the team. Whistling Straits. So, I was out in Paris, and it was. There's obviously a European just try to set it up for their advantages, and when it was tight, and it was our guys were kind of struggling off the tee. How real is that, the setup advantage, and how much do you focus on that?
It's very real, and that's what they do on a yearly or a biannual basis over there, and that's what we do here. We'll widen the fairways, play with a little bit less rough, maybe a touch more rough up around the greens, and try to get away from the runoff areas, like they're used to, and make it more like what we play week in and week out on our tour.
I like that. I mean, I'm a Team USA guy.
Yep.
USA. So, Whistling Straits, right? We're used to seeing it in major championship condition. Are we going to see a little bit of a different Whistling Straits?
No, I mean, a little bit different, but it'll be, you can't change everything. We've changed some fairway widths probably a little bit and a couple other things here and there, but it's going to look pretty much the same from when we always see it.
So I have to ask you too about one of our co-hosts, Trent, he's not here today, but he's Iowa guy, and he loves the John Deere Classic. It's his favorite thing in the world. You've obviously won there, I believe, 3 years in a row. If he were here, how important would you say the John Deere Classic is to him? Because again, it means the world to him. So does it also mean the world to you?
You know what? It's a big part of my career for sure. It was a special place that I look forward to going to every year, and it felt like home. Jerry's played there; he can attest to that. It just felt like you could get in your car and drive down there if you wanted to. A 4-hour drive or whatever it was, 3.5 hours, and great people in that area, hardworking people, blue collar people, and a lot of the same where we grew up. So. It's a special place for me, for sure, and I have a couple of John Deere pieces of equipment that I look at quite regularly that remind me of how special it is.
What do they send you? What do they give you when you win?
Well, I always upgraded, so it always cost me money. I bought some some tractors along the way, farm equipment. So, so that some of that money always went back to John Deere.
Not all of it.
Not all of it.
No.
No, that'd be crazy town. So what, they give you like a certain, hey, this is the value, that you're like, well, I would kind of like a nicer tractor?
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good move. That's a very good move.
I could see you in a combine.
It wasn't quite a combine, but there were some farm tractors. We do some deer hunting, and so we got to plant some beans and corn and stuff like that. So you got to have a tractor plant it.
Yeah, I was going to ask who's operating these tractors, but
I'll get on there occasionally, but I got a friend who helps me out a lot.
All right. Yeah. Those types of being able to get in your car versus taking a flight, how much does that comfort level help out on tour?
That's huge. We just got a place in Phoenix area, and for me to just hop in and just throw everything I need in the car. You don't have to pack up the golf clubs. You don't have to, have everything neatly packed and stuffed into your bag. You can just kind of toss some clothes on top and off you go. I mean, it's a huge comfort factor when you get somewhere and you unload that way rather than airport and all the normal rigmarole that we go through on a weekly basis. It's just so nice to actually be there.
Yeah. How different you guys think your games are now to when you were in your late 20s, early 30s?
Well, I don't think they're that different, to tell you the truth.
We hit it further now, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is probably crazy.
we've gotten it done. I mean, we've always taken instruction and shored up weaknesses here and there. I've got a lot more weaknesses to shore up. So it's been getting better later for me. But, the basics of everything that we've done have stayed pretty consistent, even through teaching. We're both very good at not jumping around at that as well. So even going through different ideas, our same basic model, I feel, has stayed pretty consistent over the years.
Yeah, and our games are fairly similar. We control the ball, and we hit a lot of fairways. We try to, not get into too much trouble and, get it around the golf courses, I think. We're not big bombers, we don't hit it super far like the kids nowadays do, so you got to do other things to try to compete and try to beat them at a game that we're not familiar with, Yep.
So I believe Waste Management, you finished tied for fourth, I think, Steve. And, the names that are up there is the type of golf that you're talking about. It's Brooks Koepka, Xander, and these guys that hit the ball. How is that surprising to you that you can still on that level? Because everybody's going crazy, right? With Bryson, everybody's talking about, wow, the distance is ruining the game. And it's like, well, you guys both just told me you're kind of playing the same game, and you're still out there, able to compete and come up a shot or two short from those guys.
Yeah, it surprised me a little bit because I hadn't really shown that, but I've been feeling better about my physicalness, I guess. I've been getting stronger and getting to a point where I can swing at it a little bit better. So that's been a plus. And then, just keep working at it, it surprised me there because I haven't really played all that well there in years past. I think I only had one other top 10, but you get in that position and you remember what you did in that position years ago when you won a golf tournament. So it's not like you're a fish out of water. You get in there and you relish that. I relish that opportunity, and almost if I could have made a few putts on the weekend, I could have won the thing. But it was fun. It was fun getting back in the mix again.
It's cool that fire's still there. I can see it when you talk about it. You're like, wow, if I would have made a couple more putts.
Right. Yeah.
And that's really cool. And I'm used to it now. And it's like, they'll be on the cover today. We haven't seen Steve Stricker. He's been snowshoeing in Wisconsin or whatever in months. And buddy's he's tied for sixth. And you're like, well, yeah, of course he is. So
well, I fool a lot of people too. We spend a lot of time in some warm weather places too. So. I'm not always in Wisconsin.
Like, no, that's a good storyline. It's going great.
We'll just go with that. Yeah.
What's the most nervous you guys have ever been over a golf shot?
Me, probably a combination. It's not the shots to win or to tie or anything like that. It's the first shots. The first shot at the President's Cup in South Africa and the first shot I ever hit at Augusta. Those two right there, I wasn't sure if I was going to actually hit the ball. But it turned out. You just learn to enjoy that adrenaline when you're playing well. Hey, you're playing well. You're not afraid of anything. You're just going and getting it.
Steve?
Same thing. Exact same things. First shot at Augusta. Actually, my legs were shaking. I can remember that.
Oh yeah.
And then the first team competition as well for me was a President's Cup team, and very nervous in the first opening tee ball because you're playing with a partner too in those team events.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't want to snap hook it or slice it out of bounds or something, So, you got that, and you're wearing the red, white, and blue, which always means a lot to all of us. And so there's a lot of pressure in those team events.
I was going to say the first hole, it's a shark shootout every year, but
do you guys still get nervous?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If we just define it as adrenaline, and if you can't control the adrenaline or at least relish it, then it will turn into nervousness in field. But if you don't feel those butterflies, if you don't feel that adrenaline coursing through your body, you're not ready to play. We try and actually go work out a little bit right before to try and bring that up even higher so you're ready to go. But I still feel it.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, that's why you guys are still doing it and doing it well, which is great.
Yeah.
We talk a lot, like I said, we're just amateur golfers, but there's moments where we get so nervous that you just you have no answer. Like for us, especially if your swing already sucks, and you're like, okay, well now what am I going to do? I'm nervous. Do you guys have a trick or a mechanism or something that's like, okay, I know I'm nervous. However, through years of experience, here's something that I can do, whether it's fundamental or what can you think about?
I think just breathing right,
That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, and just taking a couple deep breaths and just realizing all the time you put in, on the range or on the putting green or wherever the shot is, that you've done it a million times, right? And you just let it happen. Let your natural ability take over. But I think breathing is a big deal, and just putting a good thought in your mind before you hit it.
Learning how to breathe as well. I mean, breathing low is something real. If you try to chest breathe and you see somebody's chest going up, you pretty much got them. They're going to tighten up in that T-spine and tilt around.
Wait till you see me in my apartment now. I'm going to be like, I'm trying to breathe right, fellas. This is about breathing right. Well, look, a couple Wisconsin guys, and we really appreciate you taking the time. Good insight, good intel on the tournament and Cologuard and what they're doing, and good luck out there this week. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
fellas.
Get tested.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Appreciate it. That was very fun.
Thanks.
Yeah, the people will enjoy it.